Now, in today's class, we are going to be looking at an essay about the government. All right? Specifically, this topic right here. Most artists earn low salaries and should therefore receive funding from the government in order for them to continue with their work. To what extent do you agree? The reason that I decided to choose this particular topic is because essays that force the writer to discuss the role of the government are always really difficult for candidates. It is very rare that I read a really well thought out essay that describes why the government should intervene. Usually what happens is the writer will focus on the benefits of government intervention, okay? Without really touching on the rationale or the reason or why the government is responsible for that area of society. Or, on the other hand, why the government should stay away from that area of society. The reasons why are really difficult to explain. It's hard to find a logical basis for that type of argument. So a lot of students just skip that argument and focus on the surface of the issue. If you want to get a 7 or higher, you really need to dig into this topic, this type of topic, a little bit deeper. And it's a common type. Okay? It's a common type of essay. Should the government do this? Should the government do that? Okay? It's inviting you to dig a little bit deeper. So let's take a look, first of all, just the approach of this particular writer, how they organized their essay. So this was submitted by a student. Let's see. Most artists earn low salaries and should therefore receive funding from the government. Oh, that's just the topic. Here we go. It is argued that artists earn less money and therefore the government ought to provide subsidies to them. This essay agrees with the before-mentioned notion because the media network is the significant field of interest and has deficit number of platforms to display art. The meaning here is a little bit muddy, a little bit cloudy logic, as we say. Let me see if I can understand what you mean. The before-mentioned notion, okay, so this essay agrees that the government should provide money. The media network is the significant field of interest and has deficit number of platforms to display art. Okay, so in other words, media is important and there is not enough opportunity to show art to society. So art is important and there's not enough opportunity out there. Okay, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. We have 2 reasons why. Okay, notice this is a 4-paragraph essay. Okay, 2 reasons why, and then a conclusion. A little bit worried about this, admittedly. Okay, admittedly, film and music industries play a significant role in entertainment of a country. However, the profit the actors get are negligible because there is no official criteria of monthly payments. In other words, most of the actors suffer hardships in getting payments until they become well-renowned. For example, in Bangladesh, there are quite a few cases of suicides of performers because of due checks. I'm not sure what that means. Since 2 or 3 years, which overdue payments or overdue salary. Since 2 or 3 years, which led them in poverty and depression to end their life. Hence, governments taking care of these arts would be essential for the sustenance of such actors. Okay, not bad. The issue that I have with this paragraph, I'm not going to get into too much of the grammar in here. Okay, we're focusing on the logic and the construction of the ideas. All right? But the problem that I have with the organization of the paragraph is, where do we find our topic? What is the first reason? Is the first reason described here? No. Is the first reason described here? No, not really. The first reason is actually described here. This is the first time that we even mention the government. Is the final sentence of this paragraph. Okay? So this works well for a kind of journalism type of writing, where you are building up the interest and then finally, boom, you reach your point. But for academic writing, especially for kind of old-fashioned academic writing, like we find on the IELTS, we want a clear topic sentence first. Okay, this is one of the big lessons of in my writing course. Okay, I mentioned that before, that I have some writing courses available. In the second, is it the second lesson? Yes, the second lesson of my writing course, it covers task 2 body paragraphs, focusing on 2 ways that a body paragraph can be organized that the examiner will recognize as traditional academic structure. Okay? This one doesn't quite fit. We have kind of the reverse structure. We want the big idea on the top and then the support underneath it. So if we were to rewrite this first sentence, we would say something like, first of all, the government, let's see, first of all, it is necessary for the government to provide, sorry, I'm going to rewrite that one more time. First of all, without the government's help, artists would struggle to maintain a decent, a basic lifestyle. Maybe not the best writing there, but you get the point. We need to explain the logic of this idea at the top. Okay? Then you can explain why. Okay? All right, let's see. Moving on here. Moreover, performing industry in many places around the world suffers a lot, mainly due to social restrictions. It means that the actors are not given better opportunities to express. Okay. As a result, Saudi Arabia. Good example. The government allowed no cinema or music concert, which resulted in countless musicians and actors with no appreciation. As a result. Okay, so good explanation, but again we have the same problem. We are arriving at the conclusion at the end of the body paragraph. Okay, so this is kind of, it needs to be flipped, where we've got the big idea first, okay, at the top. Okay. Now you're going to see some types of essays, some types of writing that follow more of this structure. But to be honest, this is not what we would consider a Western academic paragraph structure. Okay? This is it's really more common in Eastern countries, this kind of like leading up to your final conclusion and then laying it out. But just like in the introduction, when you give your idea at the very top, body paragraphs are sort of the same way. Okay, you need to give your idea at the top. Now, in conclusion, I concur with the statement that government support is one of essential criteria for the well-being of arts industry, as many of the individuals linked to the industry lack money, which is the basic necessity given after work. Okay, now your summary should be quite short. Okay, this is my problem with this. This should be 15 words is a good average. It is recommended that more governments should take the initiative of financially back up the art performers. Okay, not bad for the conclusion. All right. So, aside from the body paragraph organization, okay, the bigger issue is still this issue of the government. Okay, so let me explain a little bit how to approach government questions. Okay, When you're dealing with the role of the government, first of all, make your decision. Okay, the government should provide for the arts. Okay? Why? Well, first of all, what is the importance of the arts? Okay? You don't need to explain this part, that artists earn low salaries. This first paragraph here is unnecessary. Okay? Our first paragraph should deal with why the arts are important. Okay? So the arts are an important part of our society. And I would even go so far as to say essential. An essential part of our society. So your first body paragraph should use examples and details and support to explain why the arts are not only good, but necessary. A necessary part of our society. Okay, and you can decide for yourself how you want to explain that idea. But that's, if you're going to say the government needs to step in, it's got to be essential. Okay? Next, we need to say that the government and this is the key word, we want to say it is the role of the government to ensure these kinds of essential elements of society. Now, how do you explain that? Okay, this is the part that a lot of students struggle with. It's why a lot of people avoid actually getting into the logic of this. The way to prove this is to give other examples of what the government does to help us. Okay, so think about your national government. What does the government help us with? Well, I'm American, so this is maybe a bad example, but healthcare. Okay? The government provides, or tries to provide, or we feel that the government should provide, a basic level of health for everyone in the society. We feel that everyone in our society deserves a basic level of health. Maybe you disagree, but if you're going to argue that it's essential, you need to find some examples. So healthcare is one. Another one would be, what's another, maybe you guys can help me out. What is a basic human right in your society? Something that the government has the responsibility to make sure that everyone has. So healthcare, I think, is a good example. Something like, it's tough. Every society is a little bit different, so you're going to have to be careful. I'm very hesitant because I'm American. There are different values, perhaps, but as an American, I would probably say something like free speech or free press. Okay, although that gets us into trouble. Shelter, yeah, that works. Okay, we expect that the government will create maybe homeless shelters, right, for people who don't have homes. Or maybe they will provide some sort of government programs that help homeless people get jobs so that they can find homes, right? What would be another example of something that the government gives us? We feel that the government should provide food for children. Okay? Like in public schools. Right? Public schools should have food provided to the children, and if they don't have it, the government should give it to them. Right? If the kids come to school with no food, the school should give them food for free. Okay? Maybe you don't agree with that. I'm just laying out the logic that you need to build. Okay? Because the government provides, or should provide, healthcare. The government should provide food. The government should provide basic shelter. Right? If we expect the government to do that, those are essential things. What we're saying is access to the arts is also essential. Okay? Art culture, or for the public to be able to find opportunities to view art and to participate in art, right? This is a basic social right. Just like, it seems less important, but just like food and shelter and healthcare. Okay, or jobs, there we go, job assistance. Maybe we expect the government to provide job assistance to people without jobs, right? Or if you don't have a job, maybe the government should give you a little bit of money to help you out. We call it unemployment. Social security, like a retirement package. There's often a national social security plan. Okay? Whatever it is, what you want is for your thing, like in this case art, right? Providing money for artists. If you think the government should do it, you want to put art in the same category as other institutions, other things that that we feel the government should provide for our society. Okay, that is the logical argument that you want to build. Okay, if we think the role of the government is to provide necessary services, we give a list of other necessary services and we add art to the list. Now, if you disagree, right, we want to say that, I'm going to put one more outline here. Okay, we want to say in our first body paragraph, the government should only get involved in kind of necessary elements of society. And give some examples. 2 things that the government should get involved with, 2 things that the government should not get involved with. Okay? Maybe you don't think the government should regulate the economy. Okay? Maybe you think that the government should not get involved with religion, maybe. Or the government should not, let's see, what's something else the government should not get involved with? I was watching a TV show where one of the characters was saying the government should not get involved with public parks. If we want parks, we should pay for them, just like everybody else, or just like everything else, right? It's not something I personally agree with, but the second point is art. 2 ideas. Art is fine without the government, basically. Okay? The government is not needed. Okay? If we don't have art in our society, it's because we don't really need art in our society. Okay? If we need art, we will provide art. The government doesn't have to do that for us. That's the other argument. Okay? I tend to think this one's a little easier to make. It's probably just because it's the one that I agree with, but you see the point though. Phew. Okay, so what I'm saying is if you want to score a 7 or higher for task achievement, it's almost impossible to do unless you actually dig in to the logic of this type of essay. Okay? I recommend practicing this style of essay that talks about government intervention, because there's a good chance it will come up on your IELTS exam. All right? Now, if you struggle with ideas like this, I really recommend taking some kind of course, taking some kind of classes that can show you step by step how the logic of a kind of Western academic essay is supposed to work. All right? As I've said, I have a writing course available. If you want to check that out, just send me a message on Facebook. But even if it's not for me, find some kind of course or some kind of book that will guide you through the logic and the organization of that type of essay. Not only the essay overall, but as we saw here, the organization of body paragraphs. Okay? What are the different ways that body paragraphs can be organized? This is not a great way. Okay? Or the introduction, right? How should an introduction be written? Right? This one's not bad, but it could use a little bit of improvement. Okay? Same thing for the conclusion. I gave kind of one piece of feedback that this is too long. Why is that? What does the conclusion need to do in your essay? Okay, and how best to achieve that goal. All right, you guys. Well, that is the end of our live class for today. Seemed a little bit more like a lecture, and I'm sorry about that, but when it comes to essay logic, this is kind of a one-way portal here. So this is also the last live lesson of the week, so I hope that you guys come back on Sunday. Next week we have a lot of brainstorming lessons, which should be great for building some vocabulary and kind of helping us to generate ideas for different speaking and writing topics that you are likely to find on the IELTS. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.